Amanda Hospital. I'm happy to be here. Thank you guys so much for having me here. And I'm going to get into my talk, so I don't waste any more time. Does it sound better now?
Is it good? Okay. Whew. I'm nervous, so just give me some time to just like calm down. Okay. So, what I'm going to talk about is, sorry guys, one house please, okay? Let me have your attention. It's a very short talk, so I'll try to be as quick as possible, but I just want you guys to be as engaged as possible, so just listen to me, okay? Do I have your attention? Yeah. All right, that's good. So what I'm going to talk to you guys about is forgiveness sets you free. And I'm going to walk you through a few steps that if you have a pen and paper, or you have your book with you, it's a good time to open it up because the skill I'm about to teach you is something that you can use for the rest of your life, and it can help you to remain free. Now, when I was much younger, somewhere around the age of 14, up until my early 20s, I used to think, and I used to be afraid rather, of people who would tell me things like, oh, I don't forgive easily. If you hurt me, that's it, period. I'm not talking about it, nothing. I used to be so afraid of those people because I thought that if we built a friendship and I messed up and I hurt them, they would never forgive me, and then that friendship would be lost. Because me, on the other hand, what I liked was, I liked people. So I placed more value on the people around me and importance on their well-being than I did mine. So what I did was, when I meet those people that were so afraid of forgiveness, I try to look up to them and say, I want this person in my life, I want to keep them, so I'll do everything within my power to make sure I do not hurt them so I don't lose the friendship. I started to see my own act of forgiveness as a weakness because I easily forgive. If you hurt my feelings, I'll forgive you. If you say something mean to me, I'll forgive you. If you take something that belongs to me, as long as you just say, I'm sorry, I'll forgive you. I was just giving out forgiveness like Oprah. You get forgiveness, everybody gets forgiveness. Now, I know that there are some people in this crowd that fall into these two categories. People who hoard forgiveness and they're like, I don't forgive easy. Like, forgiveness is not for everybody. Mine is limited. And there are people like me who are generous with forgiveness. So I just want to know, just by hand, if you're a person who hoards forgiveness, please show by hand. A C. Own yourself. Own yourself. Show by. If you know for me, when you're raising up your hand, you want to give me half hand. Use your chest. You know who you are. Exactly. Hoard forgiveness, show by hand. If you know you fall on the other category of people who are easily free and giving their forgiveness, show by hand. Hey! It's a lie. It's a big lie. I don't believe it, honestly. Because trust me, I've been doing therapy for 5 years, and I do not believe that this many people are that free with forgiveness. It's not true. It's not true. But you know what? It's fine. A lot of us may not admit to some negative things about our personality because it means that we're bad people or we're wrong or that we're evil people. That's not what it means. It just means that you're ignorant. And it's okay to be ignorant because you're human. You can't know everything. The important thing to do when you realize that you're being ignorant is to listen, to understand, and then to change. So when I look back now, I'm 28, I'm grown, I've worked in a practice for 5 years, I have a degree. The way I think about forgiveness has completely changed. I don't see it as something that I can't wield powerfully, where I easily give it out, and I don't see any joy or strength in being tough and holding back tight to it. Rather, I see forgiveness as a process. And this is a process that takes you from a place of pain to a place of being free. And it has the following stages. The first step, accountability. The second, acceptance. The first is acknowledgement. The second is acceptance. The third is accountability. Then understanding with a dash of humility. Detachment. Are you guys with me? Should I go over it again? Don't worry, I'm going to take it one by one so we have time, okay? And if you want the speech after, I can always send it to you. So I wrote it all down. So I can always send it to you, okay? So the first, acknowledgement. The second, acceptance. The third, accountability. The fourth, detachment with a dash of humility. Are you with me? Understanding with a dash of humility, detachment, release, boundary setting, and redefinition. The first step, acknowledgement. How can you forgive what you have not acknowledged? Some of you, people will hurt your feelings and you'll be like, oh, don't worry, it's not a big deal. Oh, no, don't worry, I'm fine, it's okay. It's like someone will shoot you with a gun, you'll be bleeding. They'll be like, guy, shouldn't you go to a hospital? You'll be like, what? Don't worry, I'll just put plaster on it, everything is fine. Meanwhile, blood is just pouring out and you're dying. That is the same thing when you refuse to acknowledge that something has hurt you. You see yourself bleeding and you don't help yourself by saying, guy, this thing what you do vex me for heart. You don't own up to it and your truth. And what then happens is that because you're burying this pain on the inside, don't laugh at my pigeon, I hold it, take it personally. Because you're burying this pain that you feel deep down inside, you never give yourself the chance to acknowledge it. So I'm giving you your first assignment for today. I want every single one of you, when you are in your own quiet time and quiet space, to take a book and pen and to write out all the things that people have done that has hurt you. Even if it's your pen too that someone stole, write it down. Acknowledge it, because no one else can tell you what hurt you but yourself. The second is acceptance. Now, acceptance is not just seeing the pain and then saying, okay, yes, it happened, but honestly accepting the depth at which the thing hurt you. Because we're so afraid of making people feel bad. Like when you look at some of the situations that happen, take for example the rape case that's been going on with the Yoruba actor. Some people don't want this person to suffer. They don't want people to feel bad. So the moment someone does something wrong and they say, oh, I'm sorry, you grab at him. Let me just, hey, you said you're sorry, it's okay. We feel ashamed because of other people's wrongdoing. So we're so quick to dismiss them. Oh, don't worry, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Leave people alone to suffer the consequences of their decision, because it isn't destructive. It is formative. And you hold them back from becoming better versions of themselves when you are so quick to just say, it's okay. So you as a person must do the work to accept the depth at which you have been hurt, so you can honestly communicate to them, which is the next step when you are holding them accountable. You're not bringing a knife to a gun battle. Rather, you're bringing a gun, not a bazooka, just a little gun that matches what has happened. The third step is accountability. And this is where you hold the person who has caused you pain accountable. You don't mince your words. Of course, you're going to be polite and respectful. You're not going to go there insulting them, saying you're stupid or you're mad, but telling them that this is the exact thing that hurt me and how deeply it actually hurt you. And when you hold them accountable, the next thing to do is to listen. Because in the process of forgiveness, it's not just one way. It's not just saying, I forgive you, you hurt my feelings, and you walk away. No, not mic drop. You have to understand where the other person is coming from. Why did they do what they did? Who are they? What are the things that have shaped them as individuals that caused them to think and act and treat you the way that they did? And whilst you're listening to understand, you must implore the act of humility. And that humility comes in understanding that every single one of us here is imperfect. And because an imperfect person hurt you, that's why you can forgive. And because you, on the other hand, will one day be on the other end where you would require somebody else's forgiveness because you have been imperfect. Now, that imperfection and understanding who they are and why they did what they did does not mean you have forgiven them. That's not where it ends. The next thing you need to do is to remove yourself, which is where you detach, which is where a lot of people have some problems, because even though they understand, they don't know how to step away. But let me tell you what detachment is. Detachment is looking at the other person who has caused you pain and understanding that because they are individuals responsible for their own actions, their own behaviors, the way they think, the way they act, the way they talk, and also their own behaviors and reactions to situations, it has nothing to do with you. People treat you how they treat you because of who they are, not who you are. You are not defined by another person's actions. So just because people have been insulting you, people have been bullying you, saying mean things to you, doesn't mean that you are a person who deserves to be disrespected. It is that the other person who is disrespecting you is the type of person to do that. Now, the part where you come in, which is also something you do during accountability, is to reflect upon how you have contributed to allowing such negative behavior in your space. Some of us give permission to people to hurt us. Do you know how? When they do something bad, we don't complain about it. When they hurt our feelings, we don't say anything. We tell ourselves, don't worry, it's fine, that's how they are, and we allow it. We keep allowing people who have bad behaviors to treat us badly. So when you detach, what you recognize is that number one, as I am responsible for my own actions, so are they. And the way they treated me is because of who they are, not what I deserve. And the way that I have come into this narrative is that I have either allowed or permitted someone with a bad behavior to treat me a certain type of way. So you remove yourself. It is not me. I don't deserve this. And in that process of detaching, you also release yourself. And by releasing, you don't just release the person you are, you release the other person. Because in the act of releasing, we tell ourselves that we no longer need to stay in that space where we felt like people who deserved to be mistreated. We walk away from situations, memories, thoughts, actions that people have performed towards us or that we have done to other people because we no longer want to hold ourselves to that definition of who we are. We release ourselves because we're able to tell the other person that I see you, I understand why you did what you did, I know that that's because that's who you are, I am not responsible for your actions, I do not deserve to be treated that way, and so I'm walking away. And at the same time, I wish you well. And I hope things go fine for you, even if you're in hell. You tell them, I'm stepping back. A literal, this has nothing to do with me. And for you as a person, I give you the opportunity to do well in the future. Now that takes to the next point of boundary setting, which a lot of us tend to not do because we say forgive and forget. Don't do that. Don't ever forgive and forget. You can forgive and distance. People have had access to your life, mistreated you, insulted you, disrespected you. You tell them, okay, that's who you are, right? That's fair. I see you. I forgive you, I release myself, but I do not want to have anything to do with you anymore. And that's fine. You release, you detach, you walk away. You create that space, you set the boundaries, and they're important because you also need boundaries of your own. Maybe you're the type of person to allow people to disrespect you. Maybe you're the type of person to allow people to talk anyhow to you. Your boundary is, I will no longer tolerate this sort of behavior being performed towards me as an individual. You set your boundaries and let these boundaries be healthy, let them be fair, and let them have consequences. So that when people break your boundaries, they know that things are going to happen. If you insult me, I am gone. If you treat me this way, I'm not coming back. Let the consequences be clear. And then that takes you to the final point. If you are no longer a person who has to carry this much pain, if you no longer have to carry this much vengeance, if you are not the person who deserves to be mistreated and disrespected, then who are you? By pulling yourself away from that situation, you give yourself the opportunity to chart a new path in your life. Forgiveness frees you because it no longer holds you tied to the experiences that you had. It isn't denying that this happened. It is simply saying that just because it happened to me does not mean that that's the person that I am. And so I release myself and I release the person in front of me and I will go on to find the person that I want to be, that's happier, that's freer, and that is more in love with themselves. Thank you.